How are you cats doing today? This is L.A. Kendrick back with another tale from the ball. Would you dare? Alright, so you guys know how we do. I'm going to pause this up. And glad you guys could join me this morning. You know how we do. We find some stories about the cryptid, monsters, UFOs, serial killers, demons, supernatural, paranormal, extra-dimensional, ultra-dimensional, one shot, one take, and we go with it. And you can go ahead and throw in government conspiracies as well. This part of the channel is for those that have been following my work and supporting the Destiny vs. Chaos series, which is adult sci-fi, and the Benefits of a Bully series, which is for 10 and up. So make sure you help me get my likes up on my way to 200 subs. And I really appreciate you guys following me on this journey. Now, this topic in particular has always been weird to me, even though I come from an area where they talk about this kind of thing existing. But when I came across this trucker's experience, I just had to jump on it and combine another person that speaks about the government claims of involvement with issues of, other issues, major issues when it comes to the unknown out there. As well as, manufacturing unspeakable horrors, possibly. I don't want no trouble. Again, fair use YouTube. This is for educational purposes only. Because, the government loves stonewalling the public. So, now let's get to it. And the shallow background, which I do, it's just to set the mood here on Would You Dare, especially for a topic like what we talk about. And this morning's topic, the Dogman, aka Werewolf. Also going to show a clip from a very telling movie called Dog Soldiers, just a small clip. So, to wet your whistle and give you an idea of what they say they look like. And it's about I believe the government created these things as well. So, you know how we do. The party don't start till you walk in. And now that you're here, let's begin. And this gets wild. All right, let me shrink this down. And get to this guy's story. And I feel for this guy here, I really do. Seemed like he saw something. But nonetheless, I'll put the link in the description if you guys can't see him very well, but I'm going to do my best. And let's listen to what he has to say.
A creature like this don't exist in reality that I've ever come up on. Even though I have heard of Bigfoot, and I know those to be something that is in our reality, that this is a whole different thing altogether. It's not even close to what a Bigfoot is. It's a lot. It has a lot of sharp teeth, and the teeth on this thing were white. Like brilliant white, 3-inch long fangs, bottom and top, at least maybe 3.5 or so. Pure black, pointed ears. It had yellow eyes. It was at least 10 feet tall, gazing from how it was stooping and looking at. His yellow eyes were darting all over the place. Maybe he was looking around to see how he could get in, or just assessing the inside of the cab. But he was looking at me, giving me
Real quick, what he's saying is that this thing attached itself to his semi-truck when he was actually trying to change a tire or do some repair work on his semi-truck. Again, I don't want to stop and pause very much, but yeah, and this guy is Joe Barger, Barger. He claims he killed one.
a feeling of, I don't know if it was really, if you would call it like a mind speak, like some people might describe, but I think it was some communication through his eyes because of the intelligence that was there. It wasn't an animal look. And this all took place in 15, 20 seconds at the most. There was a lot going on in all of this description. I was just taking it all in as time had slowed down for me.
It pauses like this. That's not me.
How did it look on his face, Joe? Tell me how it looked. Did it look good? Did it look like an animal? Did it look evil?
Well, how this wasn't making any noises vocally at the time. I never heard anything, any vocalization or growling, but the looks he was giving me and what I was reading from his body language and his sneering at me and the intelligence in his eyes was telling me that, I'm here to get you and there's nothing you can do about it. That's kind of what popped into my head. And there was so many things that going through my mind at the same time. I thought about trying to roll up the window. There's a lot of things, but I'm like, that isn't going to help me because it's just not. Even if I did, and I couldn't even find the little levers to pull, the power windows. Even I was already shaking, and my adrenaline was kicking in, and I was just all over the place mentally. But I did have enough faculties to keep the truck on the road, keep it going up the hill. I didn't even really think of my gun until I got this idea in my mind, what was coming across from what I thought was a werewolf, that, you think I can't do anything about it? Well, watch this, watch this, you think I can? And then I had a gun strapped right here, it was a 45 Colt, and I just pulled it like this and shot twice, and he went down. Instantly went down. I was looking at him as he was sliding into the weeds, and his head was flopping around, his legs and his arms were stiff. I knew it was a brain shot from hunting. He didn't know what hit him. It was definitely a brain shot. And I was at almost point blank range, so I'm pretty sure I got him through the eye orbit, pretty sure, because that head was thick. And I think that would be a glancing blow with any other place on the skull, because his head was at least the size of a boar grizzly, if not even. I think it was bigger, but his head looked huge because of the mane, like a lion's mane. He was solid black, but from maybe the middle of where his ears were until it went back to his shoulders, it was as thick, if not thicker, than a lion's mane. And everything on this animal was black. His skin on his hands were black, where there wasn't hair. His claws were black. Everything was black on him except his teeth and his eyes. And,
human-looking hand, right?
His human-like hands, I saw those really close up, and I would say they were about the size of my steering wheel if they were splayed out. And that is really big, huge, probably 14 inches across, probably at least, at least that big. And his claws were at least 3 inches long, and they were extremely thick, about like cigar thickness, I would say. Teeth, the canine teeth were about, I would say, a thumb thickness at the top, and down to a point at about 3.5 inches. And
I'm gonna skip forward.
Scaredest I've ever been in my life. Nothing even comes even. If this thing is still laying there, I know where there's a turnaround up here about a mile or a mile and a half. So after he went down, I just knew, after all these things that was going on in my head, that I wanted to make sure in my own mind that this really occurred, and that if this thing is still laying there, this werewolf is still laying there, that's about 10 foot tall, and it looks like it weighs about 1,000 pounds. It's like the size of a horse, at least a good sized horse. And because I could see the whole body as it fell and as it was sliding and knocking down weeds off the gravel and dirt that it was into, and then it turns into woods about 20 feet in. And I saw his feet, I saw his legs. His body was like human-like, shoulders a little bit
gonna skip forward.
Dog paw would be round. He was still black everywhere. I could see everything now as I was looking.
I'm gonna skip forward to the 26 timestamp.
So as after I fired 2 shots, as I was looking at this creature fall and slide through the weeds, follow the weeds down, I was deciding that at that point that I was not even.
Okay, so what he did, he turned his truck around about a mile up. He came back, determined to run that thing over and kill it. He knew he would mess up his truck in order to secure the death of this creature that he had shot. Again, this is his story. He's telling it, and I'm trying to make sure that it keeps you guys engaged so that I don't bore you too bad with it. And this is fascinating to me. So I'm gonna skip forward to the 26:15 mark, and I'm gonna skip forward to the 31:05 once he explains his situation. Okay.
3 months later, I was detained at a scale house by state police to wait for federal authorities to come and talk to me or had some business with me of some kind. So after waiting for around there for a few hours, a couple of federal officials came up to me and told me that in a very intimidating way that when they first showed up that they were very, very angry. The both of them, they were intimidating and angry, and I almost thought they were going to cuff me, but they didn't. I didn't know what was going on, and they said, "You killed one of our assets, and this is how things are going to go down from this point on." And I at first I didn't know what they were talking about, but then it just popped into my head. Well, the only thing I killed in the last year or so was that creature, and that these federal officials are now jumping on me about that, and that just popped into my head. So this is something that is their property, and they were mad that I killed it, and they were trying to get me to stop talking about it because they probably knew who I was because of my narration story.
What exactly did they tell you? Do you remember?
Well, yes, and I mean verbatim. I don't remember everything.
Just tell us what you can. Right?
But I do remember them saying,
that guy's pushy.
We can do a lot of things to make sure you don't talk about this anymore or discuss it with anybody. And if we, you can, as a truck driver, you can't keep a job if you have a dirty drug test.
Wow.
A dirty drug test could happen. Monetarily, things can happen, and they did shut my bank account off. But so that was, I think they were flexing to show that they can. So I did. I shut up. When I found out they could do this, I shut down and just shut it off up until recently because I didn't want all that smoke.
I'm jumping forward, you guys.
So it was obvious they were federal officials of some kind, but I didn't know what was going on. I had no idea until they walked up and said, "You killed one of our assets, and we're going to tell you that we don't want you to talk about what happened with that again, because we can really make your life miserable." So, and they showed me that they could, and they. Like I said, they took my gun, they gave me my phone back, and I think they're using the gun as maybe a way to use as leverage or some kind of nefarious framing, if they deem necessary at some point. That's the only thing that I think the reason why they would retain my weapon. So I don't know what to think about it any other way other than I do think it's important that the reason I think they do this is because these are something that they mentioned it was an asset, so this is probably another tool in their toolbox for military operations of some kind.
Jumping forward?
And
going about this whole operation and putting people's lives in danger?
Yeah, they're putting everybody's lives in danger. They put my life in danger. I would probably be a statistic if I didn't shoot and kill this one. And they don't even care. They come up to me like I'm a dog or something, you know, a useless animal. And their so-called asset was more important than me, you know. And that's, you know, so I'm looking at it in a whole new light, and it needs to, I think I need to get this out there to as many people as possible, that they know this information. So you can take it for what you want, take away from it what you believe or what you don't want to believe, but at least you heard it, and if it happens to you, you got something to fall back on. If it happens to you and you don't even think it's a real thing, but I'm here to tell you, it's probably in your best interest to take heed to this truth that I'm trying to put out.
So I'm gonna let him do his thing. I'm gonna jump over to the other one. All right. So jump over to this. This is just a snippet of what the clip that I told you guys I was going to share with you about the dog soldiers, and this is potentially the kind of activity that he faced. I know it's just a movie, but the similarities are just incredible. Now you might want to check that out, because I saw it. It was a pretty good movie. And again, I told you guys we're going to stay really, really close to the whistleblowing situation and issue that's been popping off. And again, I'm trying to make sure that everything is concise and compressed, so you get all the information here. And I told you guys we're going to keep our ear to the ground on this. And this is another guy that's been involved with the government when it comes to government conspiracies, and not even so much a government conspiracy, but the covering up of issues of this magnitude, where there are things out there that we need to know about as the general public. I just, let him continue to, this is from News Nation, and that's David Garouche. And let me make sure that I give credit to the interviewer. This is Inhumanoids with Bart. And make sure that I'm giving these guys their props, so I don't want to take anything away from them and their hard work. All right, but this is David Garouche, and he's consistently been fighting. He's the whistleblower for the UAP UFO situation. I'm gonna keep saying UFO. I don't like UAP, unidentified aerial phenomena. They're just trying to make sure that the word doesn't have the same sting and punch. But here you go.
David, we just heard that two key provisions were killed from this defense bill that basically water down the requirement to make public any information about spacecraft, about alien remains. I take it you're disappointed.
Yes, thank you for having me on today. And what we're witnessing right now is, quite frankly, the greatest legislative failure in American history. You had a very strong amendment for government transparency on this issue, whether you believe my allegations or not. This is a government transparency issue at large, and the legislation was modeled off of previous government transparency issues. So we had a mixed bag of success, right? If we believe the conference report that was submitted last week, Section 1687, which effectively fences off money to illegal special access programs, something that Marco Rubio, Mark Warner, and his staff on the Senate Select Committee for Intelligence championed. That did make it through conference, and I do congratulate the senators that pushed hard to make sure that that was not removed during conference to help further this effort.
It leaves the door open for anything that is, quote, national security, we get to keep secret.
100%, 100%, and that's why we were going to have a neutral 9-person panel, and all that was enumerated in the Schumer rounds, amendment earlier this year, and that was not written in a vacuum. That was written, with other individuals bringing them information as well.
All right. Were you hoping to be on that panel, that 9-person panel that would make those decisions on what had to stay secret and what could be made public?
Certainly it's not my place to be on the panel. I certainly offered through certain staff up to the White House. I would be happy to participate. I mean, I'm happy to get coffee, for God's sakes. But you do know I was actually behind the scenes interviewing former undersecretaries, former general officers, Nobel laureate type folks that would fill those specific billets on the URRB, which is the disclosure panel that was described in the Schumer amendments. So there were certainly people of high repute that were willing to serve on that panel to do their best to provide the president a recommendation on what he should disclose. And now that the panel is not signed into public law on the legislative branch side, when we need to advocate for the executive branch, the office of the president through executive action, to instate such a body, to advise him on the best course of action now that, Congress has failed to legislate appropriately. And I'm here to, praise and admonish. I mean, certainly the Senate, thank you for proposing that legislation. I'm glad you got some provisions passed, but folks in the House, I mean, total failure. It's one of the biggest failures probably in the history of Congress.
Thanks so much for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more.
I'm going to let that do what it do, okay? Like I say, trying to make sure that you guys have incredible information and you guys are having an outstanding time doing what we're doing here, okay? That's my whole purpose. That's my whole goal. Giving you guys something, we can come and hang your hat on. But what do you guys think about those facts? I mean, leave your comments below, but that cat had to be shook in the truck, man. And the UFO government whistleblower adding to how the government is blocking the new transparency bill, or, at least gutting key parts, refusing to give the general public the truth about all this high strangeness. And he was from what I understand, a fighter plane in the Air Force or the Navy. But this high strangeness that keeps popping up, I believe, I would want to know what's out there in the dark places of the world. Imagine the trauma of running into these two topics. If you live to tell the tale, I've been to many of these places for fun, just to see if they exist. I've seen some crazy stuff with my travels around the world, and I've been in a lot of places. I've been a lot of places. And I do it for fun, and I take this with a grain of salt. But some of the stuff, man, I'm telling you, you can see the my adventures and my travels when you subscribe to my channel. I don't just talk about it, I be about it. But seriously, you guys like, share, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to grab a copy of The Foes of God. It's my latest novel, sci-fi at its finest. I'm telling you guys, it's you name it, it's wrapped up in there, rolled up in there. Everything we're talking about here, with a kind of a superhero punch, and it'll be in the link below. And the new Benefits of a Bully is coming out shortly. I'm just getting the cover ready and editing, so I'll have this stuff out for you guys here shortly. But in closing, make sure you check the dark spaces of your homes. Check your closets. And if you work late at night or the wee hours into the wee hours of the morning, check around your car, check under your car, check inside of your car. Because you never know if there's a Dogman lurking in the dark, waiting to make you a story. And this has been L.A. Kendrick with another tale from the ball of Would You Dare. And until next time, you guys be safe, feeling the rest.